Welcome to the MMHP in the 989, channeling all styles and eras of Michigan music history. Recorded live inside the Rock Legends Hall of Fame in Bay City, Michigan. Featuring Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and your host, Scott Baker.
Okay, welcome everybody. Once again, we are broadcasting from the Michigan Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame studio at the Historical Museum of Bay County. And tonight our guest is bassist extraordinaire, Chuck Bartels. Chuck.
Hello.
Welcome.
Excuse me, coming down off a cold this week.
Oh, well, we're glad the weather cooperated for your trip here. Yesterday was pretty nasty. You're a small town guy, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, why don't you tell us a little bit about, where you grew up and how you started getting into playing the bass?
In elementary school and early junior high, we were West Siders. We started as West Siders, so Garden City, Westland, Canton, and then we moved to Lapeer to be closer to my grandparents. And so this would be when I was in ninth grade. And not too long before that, my cousin had gotten a bass for Christmas one year. Like a lot of kids at that point in the early 80s, we're getting guitars and basses. And so he got a bass, and he played, of course, Smoke on the Water through his little practice amp that they got him, and my eyes just lit up. I was like, what is this thing? And I started begging my mom from that point until I broke her down about a year later to get me a bass. And this was when we were in Lapeer, so I was like probably either late 13 or early 14. And then it, unfortunately, like a lot of kids, it just went under the bed and I forgot about it until I made the correlation that the reading the notes was the same as trombone, which I played in high school. And all of a sudden, I could read. And then I just sort of took a little time with one of those Mel Bay books to kind of put together the basic notes. And by the end of the day, I could play a couple songs, which for me I didn't think I'd get that far, so that was it. From that day on, my fate was sealed.
So were there artists that you heard on record or something like that really kind of got you thinking about maybe I should start playing a little bit?
The correlation came later, but the first thing I remember before I ever played was hearing Stairway to Heaven. I'll never forget it. It was in home economics class, and the teacher had this little kind of crappy little AM radio. You could barely hear it. And then the rockin' part came in, at the end after the solo, and it hit me like a laser beam. I'll never forget it to this day. I mean, I'm in my mid-50s now, and it's still like it was yesterday. And I didn't really equate it to wanting to play guitar or bass yet, but it was songs like that. Tom Sawyer by Rush kind of did the same thing. I didn't know it yet, but even before I had a bass, I was a bass player. It was happening. It found me. I didn't find it. And so when I got the bass, then I put together that the bands that hit me like that also happened to be amazing bass bands. and so, like Led Zeppelin is my favorite band. It still is. And I was obsessed. That was it. It was over,
So John Paul Jones?
John Paul Jones, which later I realized he was a disciple of James Jamerson, which I never put together until I really dug into his style. And then I'd also been getting into James, who's, one of the greatest there ever was. And when I heard the Lemon Song from John Paul Jones and that breakdown, that was when I realized that's where he was coming from, because it was just so deep. It was on another level what he was doing with the drums. And that was another huge milestone for me. And at that point, I think I went from just wanting to play to wanting to do it full-time forever. And my folks were cool enough to allow that. So,
where'd you graduate from?
Lapeer West.
In 90?
87.
87. Okay.
Got my senior picture with this P bass back here. Oh. I should have sent you that too, but I didn't want to torture you.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
Did you have a high school band?
I played because I was from a small town. I was the best and worst bass player in town. And there was like one or two other guys, but so all the older guys recruited me. I was in bands with guys that were like late teens, early 20s. Nothing, and then a couple things happened in high school, but not a lot. I tried to get the band director to do a jazz band, and he wouldn't. So it was a lot of outside of high school, like weekends, just playing all night in someone's basement, until you just have, my calluses were bleeding and all that stuff. And that was where I kind of learned.
Yeah, you didn't have, well, when we were kind of taking a little tour, that was really the cool thing about those teen clubs in the 1960s, is that you had places to play literally every weekend.
Yeah, that's cool.
And,
yeah.
that was gone when you were in high school. So basically it was just like playing at parties and
People's houses, parties. Yeah. I mean, before that, I was obsessed with guitars just because they looked so cool, and so if I ever saw one, I would just, freak out. Like you guys remember the band Freedom Jam?
A little bit, yeah.
They would go to all the junior high schools. They were like an anti-drug, sober rock band.
Okay.
And they would do like the modern hits at that time, Journey and
Crazy
whatever.
Train.
And Crazy Train.
Yeah.
Yep. And I went to the concert. I had to go. I went after school. My mom took me. Anything I could get, any access to live music was like, it was magical to me. And I didn't see enough of it until much later because those opportunities weren't there like they once were. So,
I read somewhere you actually study music in college.
Yes. I tried doing it when I was 18, and I wasn't quite ready for that whole college world, so I didn't do it. And then later on, I went back, and I ended up getting a scholarship at Wayne State for jazz studies. Matt Michaels was kind enough to basically let me go for free. He found me a place to live and got me started in Detroit. So that was kind of when I started my career, so to speak.
So that enabled you to make some connections.
Yeah, that's
in Detroit.
Probably. I mean, Wayne State is a great school, but for me personally, the greatest thing about studying music there, the teachers and the classes were great, but it was your peers, and it was all the stuff going on in the city because it wasn't a dormitory type college. I mean, you were in it. I mean, it was right there. It was Detroit, know. So you got thrown in. I mean, I had gigs before I even had all my stuff moved into my little apartment with my roommates.
Was Alvin's open then?
Alvin's was open. Yeah, James Carter was playing every Tuesday. And I got my mind blown by him, I think my second night there, and then Thornetta Davis with the Chisel Brothers. They just, like Roscoe and those guys, I mean, it was like such an education when I moved to downtown. So, yeah, but it was Wayne State.
Okay.
Sorry if I go off a little bit.
Well, that's great. Is that when you met Dennis Coffey? Dennis is an inductee in the Hall of Fame, both with the Funk Brothers and also
As he should be, yeah.
his solo career, which is pretty incredible with the Detroit Guitar Band.
Yeah.
So is that around the time you met Dennis, or was it later?
That was actually, that was much later. That was like 2013. The drummer that he was playing with at the time, Steve Adams, called me and said, "You want to come do this thing?" He was playing at Northern Lights.
Well, right, okay.
Yeah. And he's like, "We don't have a guy. You want to come down? If Dennis digs you, you can do it." And I was like, "Well, yeah, okay." So I went, and I mean, Dennis kicked my ass all over the place. I mean, he was in his 70s, I think, at that point, and he played like a 22-year-old. I mean, it was relentless. One song was like 20 minutes. I mean, and it would go these huge peaks and then valleys, and you think, okay, it's going to end. No, it's not going to end. It's going to go up again. I mean, my hands were throbbing afterwards, but he's not super generous with the compliments all the time, but he was like, "Oh, you really go for it. You want to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of have to,
Yeah, I think Dennis is still playing at the Northern Lights, isn't he? At least the last I heard, he was.
I filled in a couple years ago, and he was. I don't think he remembered me, but I don't know. I mean, he was still playing really well, but he was a little nicer to me than he used to be. So I'm like, it's me, right? And he's like, "Yeah, how are you?" But he's still, even 2 years ago, was making me work for sure.
Yeah, we went down to present him with induction certificates, and got to see him play. Yeah, I mean, boy, that Northern Lights is a small little place. That's a great place to see Dennis Coffey.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was.
that's where I met him. He was there for a Northern Soul record party.
Wow, yeah.
And he came, and so I got introduced to him, and I thought, whoa, this is Dennis Coffey.
He would tell some great.
Well, that
stories
guy
of
played
James
on
and-
so many hit songs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as a session guitarist, you know, besides doing his own thing.
We've been trying to get him on here.
Oh,
And
yeah.
his number either isn't working or we haven't got the right thing.
Ooh,
going.
that may be one that we might have to go on the road for.
Yeah.
That'd be asking a lot for Dennis to drive here, I think.
Is he-
Yeah, I don't know how old he is now.
He's a West Sider, right? I think he's a West Side. I don't know where he
He
lives.
should be close to
80?
90.
Oh,
Yeah, he.
well, yeah. I mean,
I
he
don't
was in the
know. I
Royal
mean, I know
Tones
how old I am.
in the early '60s and played on those Del Shannon hits. Yeah, he's got to be up there.
Yeah, those were. I did that gig for 2 years, and it was crazy. It was jam band stuff, and then he was starting to kind of get into the jam band thing. He was getting wind of that, which would have been a match made in heaven. He could have done all those festivals and stuff, but for some reason it never came to fruition. But he was asking me questions about it, you know, like different bands and like Fish type bands, and he's like, and that's, you know, they're not on the radio. And they play these. I'm like, yeah, it's all grassroots, man. I mean, and you know, I mean, he's a god in Europe, you know, and it just, you know, I guess you need a manager for that stuff. 'Cause Lord knows we're not organized.
That's so unusual that you know so many American artists are so much bigger in Europe than they are back here.
I'm not even sure if he ever toured Europe. Other than, you know, maybe in a Motown backup band.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever went on the road though with Motown. Maybe he did.
Yeah.
He had
trying
a
to
day
think,
job, so on top of the,
Oh, yeah.
What does he do?
well, I think he worked at GM or something. He had some sort of day gig on top of all the sessions and stuff at Motown.
So Chuck, I also read that you played behind some oldies acts also.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Trying to remember now. What have I done? This is the thing. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Platters,
Yeah, with
contours.
Glenn Robbie. I don't know if you know Glenn.
No.
He's a piano player, and he was doing some work at the music store that I was teaching at, and we got to know each other. And you know, he started calling me for a few gigs, so I got to play with Sonny with the Platters, and then also we did the Contours when, what's his name? I'm sorry, the original member. I can't think of his name now.
Hubert Green.
It'll come to me. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I should know that too. I can't think of any of the coasters' names right now.
There was
Dennis Edwards sang with him for a while before he joined the
Sylvester.
Temptations.
It was Sylvester, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, Sylvester
Yeah.
Potts.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, we did a bunch of those, and we did the thing with Sonny, and then we did, who's the guy that sings Call Me? Call Me, da-da-da-da. I can't think of his name.
Chris
him.
Montez.
Yes. Yeah, I got to work with him. Some of the girl groups. There was a bunch. For a while there was more than I could keep track of, and you would just show up, you'd rehearse all day, you'd play the show in the evening, and then you'd go home.
How did you get gig like that? Like, was that something that they just called and they knew your number from the other guys?
It was through Glenn.
Through Glenn.
Because Glenn was the MD for all. He was like the guy that did all that stuff. When those bands, a lot of doo-wop bands too, would come into town, the Teen Angels. And so they would call him, he'd put a band together, and they would do it. And then eventually there was other guys doing it as well. So he had his group of people, and then there was another, I think the Contours split up into two different bands, as sometimes those things happen. You know, one guy is the original, but another guy knows the original or something. And
Was that just coming out of Wayne State, or as you were there? Or
I was done with Wayne at that point. Yeah, I was
you were doing sessions and everything. You
whatever
just
I
took the-
could.
Yeah.
Still, you know.
What was that in the early '90s?
That was early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just did a gig with Danny Seraphine, the original drummer of Chicago, last Saturday. He sat in with the Shamrock Jazz Orchestra, so we did all those old 70s Chicago hits with him, and that was a ball. That was great.
Oh yeah.
got a singer that can nail the Pizza Terra stuff. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really liked the early Chicago
Yeah.
stuff. Maybe the first 3 albums,
Yeah,
especially.
so he was talking. He had a lot of Terry Kath stories, and he was talking about what's the song? I'm so happy. That song. You know the song I'm talking about. It's got that.
So happy.
Yeah, it's got that horn intro. That bum bum
Yeah.
bum 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 bum. I think that's the one. I guess it was even longer originally, and then he heard it on the radio in the early '70s. He heard it on the radio for the first time, and he's broke. You know, they're still struggling, but the whole intro is cut, except for just the very last part of it. So he called the manager and started, yelling at him, and reaming him out because he's an artist at that point. And the manager's like, "Well, it's on 80% of the radio stations, and your life is going to change tomorrow." And he's like, "Can I have a Mercedes?" He's like, "Yep." Yeah, I got to play 25 or 6-4 with the original drummer. It was amazing.
Killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Great.
He's still thumping, man. He's still mid-70s, I think.
Dick Wagner used to jam with him at the Alice Cooper Pudding. It's called like the Christmas Pudding jams in Arizona. And Dick would go down, and he said Danny Seraphine was his bud. They'd always hang, They had a lot of good stories.
Yeah, he had a bunch. He's real generous, too, with his time and with the fans and stuff. He was real accessible. And
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, let's go. Coming out of Wayne State, you were on the scene as the guy to get that calls, or did you have a band that was hot, or how did your star go on the rise there through the 90s?
It took time. I was coming from a different place. At that point, I was more of a jazz fusion guy, playing a lot of that kind of stuff because I was in music school and that's what they wanted us to do. So that's what I did. So I was obsessed with all this technical playing. And, and Detroit is a rock and roll and an R&B and a gospel city. And I didn't really dig into those roots as much as I should have in the 90s. It didn't happen until later when I started to kind of figure out and kind of get a clue. And then as I started to really pay attention to that stuff a little more, my phone rang a lot more.
Oh.
It wasn't as fast as I would have liked because my priorities weren't where they should be. My priorities were above the 12th fret. Now they should have been below the 5th fret,
Yeah.
And actually, what really changed everything is when Sturgill called me. Because Sturgill is, he's not a fan of 5 strings or active basses or any of that stuff. So I have this old P bass, and I had to quit playing the fancy basses when he called me for the gig, and I had to quit him cold turkey and pick this P bass up with the heavy flats on it. It was so hard, and I hated it for about 3 months. And then after that, I never went back. After that, it was like, oh my God, why didn't I do this sooner? And I'm embarrassed to say, but that was like 10 years ago.
Already, isn't it amazing?
Yeah, that was 10 years ago, but I didn't really understand it until then, And now all I play is that bass, and I got an old jazz bass that Sturgill gave me. And I play my 5 once in a while, but I just don't like it anymore at all. It's so funny how that works.
Well,
How did Sturgill find you?
The keyboard player, Bobby Emmett, they were friends. And Bobby was a Nashville guy. He's from Detroit, but he was in Nashville. And he did pretty well, man. He played with a lot of different people, and he was kind of buddies with Sturgill. And Bobby's word was gold to him. If Bobby recommended somebody, Sturgill called him. So like the front of house guy, the lighting guy, the bass player, I didn't have to audition. I just got the call.
So was he touring behind A Sailor's Guide to Earth? Or?
That hadn't happened yet. That album had finished. It was in the can, but it wasn't released.
Wow, that was quite a head turner in country music. It was so different.
Yeah.
Bringing in the horn section from Sharon Jones and the Daft Kings, the soul angle, and then it wins the Grammy as Best Country Album, and just so different from the typical conservative Nashville country. I'm sure there must have been a lot of blowback, similar to like Beyonce winning the
This year?
best country album.
Yeah, I guess Chris Stapleton has taken issue with that. He's filing some sort of formal complaint.
It's not traditional or something I read. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, that album that Sturgill put out,
Sound and Fury.
I mean,
That's the one I played on.
yeah, well, as much as a change as a Sailor's Guide to Earth was, then the next album, it's just another completely different.
All those people that were complaining about Sailors, it was like, hold my beer.
That was the hardest rocking album of 2019.
It was something, man. We recorded that at McGuire Motel, which is this little, like almost borderline transient, funky little motel on the border of Pontiac and Waterford.
Well, how did you bring in equipment?
The guy that owned it, his son, had taken two of the rooms that were next to each other and turned it into one room, and it had top of the line gear in it.
Wow.
Jeez.
You'd never know. Pete Townsend, I guess, did something there, and that was what kind of gave it its rep. And so we did it. Though I lived nearby, so I didn't stay at the motel, but those guys did. I mean, it was like method actor stuff almost, because I mean, it was a funky motel. And yeah, we did the record that we just had samurai movies, old silent samurai movies on the wall, and just.
Well, yeah, that whole thing was just so bizarre. Even like starting the album with an instrumental, just wow, it's just so different. And you were credited as co-producer with, I think that your friend Bobby was on.
Bobby
that
and
as well.
Miles, all of us. Yep. Yeah, Sturgill's he doesn't do things by the book. He's a real generous guy. He did a lot of things for us that he did not have to do. Paid us more than he needed to pay us, and just a lot of things. He changed my life, without question. And the funniest thing about that is that I almost didn't do the gig because I was home with my son and my wife. I was done with Bettye. I had done, I was off the road. I didn't want to do that anymore. And he calls, and I didn't know who he was. I had never heard of him. So I told my wife, I said, don't worry, I'm not going to say yes. I'm just going to savor it for a day, and I'm going to call him back tomorrow. And then my wife called me from work. She works at Blue Cross, and she called me, and she said, you might want to rethink that. And I'm like, really? And my heart started beating a little bit. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, my coworker is a huge fan, and I guess he's about to blow up. And I'm like, so you're saying I can do it? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh my God. So I called him, I can do it, and thank God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was going to tell him no, because I figured I'd be in the doghouse,
Oh, your bass is really prominent.
I love
on that album. I mean, man, oh man.
I remember through COVID, I had the vinyl, and I was just at home. I mean, we're all home during COVID.
Yeah.
And I shot a picture of the inside of you and was sending you, like, look what I'm listening to today. You're right on, man. I'm like, they can't believe this record, man.
It was, when it came out, like, the comments were hilarious. Some of the because, I mean, people loved his, what's the was? High Top Mountain. And the second one with Turtles All the Way Down, the name's escaping me now. He kind of like turned heads with that stuff, and that stuff was kind of bluegrassy, kind of mountain music, traditional country, a lot of wailing. So to go from that to Sailor's Guide was, it was a big jump. And then to go from Sailor's Guide to ZZ Top, 80s ZZ Top, like, yeah, I mean the comments were some people were so angry, and then Sturgill would get on Instagram and have a page. It was him, just to get into it with people, and he would he's so witty and so clever. He would destroy these people. Like they would try to insult him, and then he would just cancel the page, and then he'd come back maybe, and then he'd cancel it.
And then he did the CMAs where he was busking out in front of them.
Yeah,
they do a couple of years in a row, or maybe 1 year.
He did it 1 year in a row. Yeah. And actually, when he won the country album, the Grammy for Best Country Album, I don't know if you remember, but they didn't televise it.
Oh.
No, he even said, I guess the revolution will not be televised in his speech.
Man. Yeah.
And they even took it a step further. One of the big Nashville writers the next day did a whole thing about the Grammys. Who won? Didn't mention his name.
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah, that's crazy. The
That is
politics, man.
crazy.
Best country album. Didn't mention him.
The one thing Nashville should be reporting on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's no love lost between those two for sure.
Well, then the kicker was, being nominated for Best Rock Album
yeah, we were
at the next Grammys.
Yeah.
And lost out to the Strokes.
The
I
Strokes.
thought, wow, man, I thought Sound and Fury should have won easily, going away.
It's cliche to say it, but it is for me. It's an honor to be nominated.
Well, sure it is.
To do any of that. I never. When he called me, I didn't think at that point in my life I would have done any of the things I've done with him. I thought that what I was doing at that point was what I'd be doing. Playing weddings, playing local show, whatever, and I was fine with that. Mm-hmm. But I just wasn't expecting it. And I tell my friends, people that want to talk about that, I just say, you never know when that phone's going to ring.
Yeah.
I am living proof.
In the stuff that you sent us, in the photos, I noticed that one of the gigs you played with Sturgill was at the Stone Pony.
Yeah.
Was that following Sound and Fury, or was that after the?
We did that, and he was raising money for Wounded Warriors as
Right.
well. He wanted to do a club tour for the hardcore fans because we had an arena tour that was starting with Tyler Childers at the beginning of 2020. But got to do 12 shows of that arena tour, and then the world shut down. But the club tour was before that, and it was amazing. It was so fun, and it was all clubs like the Stone Pony, the Troubadour.
Did you play indoors or the outdoor stage?
Indoors?
Yeah, that's really a small place.
It was great.
Yeah,
oh,
but
the energy.
Well, yeah,
was
I mean, it
electric.
has such history to it, with the whole Springsteen thing and Southside Johnny, and
Oh, it was great.
yeah, wow.
There was so many great experiences, in that band. It was so fun. And COVID kind of shut everything down. So, but again, I never thought I would do any of that, so I'm not complaining.
Are you going to play, or what's the situation with Sturgill now? I know he's changed direction again, and did bluegrass, and his latest album was almost more like a, kind of like a traditional Nashville album a little bit. It's hard to pin him down.
Sturgill is a restless muse, to put it mildly. He changes his mind a lot. He's generous, and when he commits to something like a tour or something, it'll happen. But there have been so many things that were going to happen that didn't, and they changed, and you just got used to it. As far as me playing with him, we tried something in the summer of 2023, the four of us, and it didn't work out. So we went our separate ways, and he told me he was going to hang it up. He was done with music, but I know that's what he was thinking at the time. I don't think he was lying. I think he meant that at the time, and I think he changed his mind. And he did a reunion for Metamodern Sounds and Country Music. He did a reunion, so he got the original lineup for that. So Kevin Black is playing bass.
Yeah, that was the album before A Sailor's Guide, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what they're
That's
doing
the
now.
one, to me, really sounded a lot like Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of like his outlaw country album.
Yeah.
I just saw him on ACL doing that this recent record, and
Yeah.
it was great. He's a whole other side of him.
Yeah.
And then he did, like his videos, going back to Sound and Fury again, they were like Japanese anime. Mm-hmm. And they're pretty interesting little videos.
He went deep. He was in Japan dealing with, and I don't remember their names, but a lot of the heavies in Japan that do a lot of anime, like Batman, and there was some other ones. And they would come here, and we would meet with them, and we all went out to dinner in New York, and I got to see how that world parties, just insane, fun, awesome guys, super generous. Not a lot of English, but I mean,
Did he get the idea for doing the anime from watching all those samurai movies, or
think
was that
so.
in place beforehand?
No, I think. Well, I heard him talking about stuff as far as the movie that's on Netflix, the Sound and Fury movie, but I didn't really know or understand what was going on until we were into the studio and making the record. All I knew was what he was describing to us sound-wise. I didn't know the themes yet. And then as we started to record it, I kind of, and I mean, as my wife will tell you, I'm not the swiftest guy in the room sometimes. I don't pay attention like I should, and I just kind of was like, oh, this is, wow, okay. And then he said, it's going to be this and this, and we're going to have this movie, and it's going to be all this, yeah.
That movie was crazy to watch. Yeah. I had a hard time getting through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's he's explained it to me, the dances and all the different things. I need to watch it again. I put some distance between myself and that because I don't know, because it was a great time, and then it came to an end, and it's just one of those things. Sometimes you just want to move forward, but there will come a time when I will sit down and perhaps smoke something and watch Sound and Fury again.
So are the videos? I'm trying to think. Sing Along was one. I'm trying to think what the other one was that I saw. Were those part of the movie?
Yeah,
they were taken from the movie.
Yeah,
then.
It's basically the record.
Oh, okay.
There's no like dialogue besides that. It's just the record, and then I mean there might be some longer scenes or whatever, but it's basically the record synced up to the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I just remember sitting there. Okay.
Yep.
12 minutes. I'm loving the record, man,
Yeah.
but this is different. Yeah.
Yeah, I understood.
I was like, is Chuck gonna pop on here?
So did he have all the songs kind of mapped out, or did you guys kind of collaborate on the, what it ended up sounding like each song?
My parts were my parts. Like I did what I wanted. He had a lot of it was he knew what he wanted, but like for me, like Remember to Breathe is the first track on there. Mm-hmm. For me, he just said, think Wu-Tang. That's all he said to me, and I played my bass line. He closed his eyes and nodded. So I'm like, I guess it's working. A Good Look, that's the crazy disco one. I played a real simple part on the first go around, and Bobby was actually, dude, get your P bass and kick this. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Cool.
Kick this fucker's ass. You could do way better than that. Come on. And I was like, well, I was trying to be, tasteful or whatever. So what you're hearing is me just beating the shit out of the P bass, like a lot of muting and plucking, and I couldn't believe he kept it. I was kind of being a wise ass when I did it. Like, okay, here you go, and they kept it. So
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Even the way that the whole album flows together. I mean, there's no gaps.
No.
It just goes from one song into the other. Again, that was the concept right from the get-go? Or Yeah, wow.
Yep, and he wanted the lone driver to be a woman, if you not to give the movie away or anything, but it's a woman doing all the ass kicking and then driving in that car. We went through, we had Mopar, and I forget I'm not a car guy, but it was one of those cars, the type cars. We drove through like the east side of Detroit and recorded it, just basically accelerating and just getting the sound of the engine and all that stuff. It was really cool.
He comes up with some creative shit, man.
Oh yeah. No, it was.
He's a whole other.
It was so fun. The whole thing was so, like when it went from the horns and Lar was playing guitar. That was as close as I'll ever get to like the band or the Last Waltz or something like
cool.
that. To me, in my head, I mean, I loved it. And then when he scaled it all down and the horns were gone and it was just him and the three of us, it became this raw, just pure rock thing that was just so fun. And I couldn't believe that it happened. I mean, it was just us just throwing down,
Some of them live videos that are out there of you with your bass solo and during them gigs. You just brutal, like unbelievable throwdowns.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I asked him, I'm like, is it too much? Am I overdoing? He's like, there ain't no such thing, man. I remember him saying that,
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
So,
what a time, man. I mean, it'll come around. I think it'll come back around. I mean, you guys are still good, right? So,
no, I'm not worried about it either way. If it does, it would be cool. But I'm loving life at home, with my family. My son's 13 now, and I need to be home. So it's. I've turned down a couple of things, smaller things, because I just don't want to travel. I mean, but if it was the right thing, I would have to take it, because then it becomes like a responsibility to make a living. So I'd have to do it. But
Your latest project is the Mitch Ryder album.
I got two. We did that. Don Was produced that. He wanted to produce it, but he didn't want to play bass on it. So they called me. And so I got to meet and work with Don. And I mean, Mitch is great. The whole thing was great, but for me, it was watching Don work, watching him produce, because I was dying to see what that process was. Mm-hmm. And it's every bit as laid back as you would imagine that it would be. It just Don Was being Don Was and getting amazing results. You know, and
he reminds me of like a Rick Rubin. It's kind of
he's like,
in the room.
Here's the changes. They made like scratch charts. You know, let's try it. He just sat there and listened. Cool, let's do one more. Sounds good. We're done. All right, next. You know.
Yeah, the album sounds really good.
Yeah, it's
and Mitch's voice is still there. You know, it's a little.
Yeah.
You know, a little rough around the edges now, you know, but he's got to be,
I thought the
his
band,
80s, right?
It was all about the band on this new record, though. It's a different sound for him.
Yeah.
And he's able to sing talk, or however you want to say it through it.
Those are all his songs.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, I mean, we would get done with a song, and then it would just be him, Louis Resto, and Don. We'd all go hang out or whatever. It was at Al's studio and Rust Belt. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And he just had lyrics on paper, and he would just say it. And they would kind of harmonize and figure out the chords. He didn't have any harmony ideas. If he liked something, cool, and if he didn't, he'd ask them to change it, and then they would come up with an arrangement and then give us the stuff, and then we'd all come up with our parts. It was pretty fun, and there was a fair amount of freedom.
Is Mitch going to do any shows to...
I think he is.
He's in
Push-
Germany.
Yeah.
He's South America, too. They were going to go to.
Yeah, again, there's another situation where... You know, I've seen shows here in Michigan with Mitch Ryder, and there's hardly anybody there.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy's a legend.
Flint once later on when it was just Mitch Ryder, and they booed him. It was at the Flint Downtown Theater or whatever it was, and they booed him. And when he sang his old songs, that's when they came alive.
Oh, I just wanted to hear The Devil with the Blue Dress. Right.
This was way
Can he take a
beyond
ride?
those songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta, I mean,
He's made, I don't know how many, a couple dozen albums?
Yeah.
You know, maybe
Also
in Europe.
Germany.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's gigantic in Germany.
His label is out of Germany. I think it's called Tough Records.
Yeah. TUF, yeah. How did those sessions roll when you got the call that you were going to play bass? Was it like segments for Don's touring or his business, or were they all at once and you're done, or how did that
That was
roll?
all at once. Yeah, his wife called me, and she said, you know, we're going to shoot for 3 or 4 days if we can.
Last fall?
It was late summer.
Late summer?
Yeah. And it was, I think we got it done in like 2.5 days. It was kind of long days, but we got it done. I mean, I was kind of bummed. I wanted to come back and do some more, but I think Don played bass on one song, maybe.
We chatted with him when he came to Ann Arbor a couple weeks back for his for his world thing.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, if you want to get, he goes, dude, I've listened to your show, and he says, I would love to. I says, do you ever have time here in Michigan? He goes, not much. I said, just let us know.
Yeah, that was really a fun show.
Yeah.
That's the whole band that was in the studio.
Wow.
Was that Pan Detroit?
David
Yeah.
McMurtry.
Except for Wayne. It wasn't Wayne on guitar. It was Roscoe. Besides that, it was that whole band.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were terrific.
Yeah, I bet.
He says, bring Gary back. I popped my head in the room. I'm like, hey, Don, I'm Scott from the... He goes, I know your show. I said, Gary's here from the Hall of Fame. He goes, bring Gary back, too. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, it was
great
great.
dude.
It was great
Yeah.
meeting him. Yeah, just a very nice guy.
What a band. Holy crap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He said their record's coming out this fall, too. Did you have anything to do with that? Or?
No, because he plays bass on it.
Yeah,
I
of
saw they were
course.
touring, and I was like,
Yeah. Of course, he plays bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wondered. Two massive bass players from Michigan here.
Yeah.
And the other project is this thing I did called This Wild Darkness, which is, and I can send you some of that. It's this guy, Tommy Mars, got a hold of me. I don't know if you guys know Tommy. Mm-hmm. He's done some stuff. He's got some stuff on Billboard. He's a songwriter, kind of modern, electronic kind of stuff, but he wanted to do a rock record. So he got me to do it. He knew me from Sound and Fury. And he got Jeff, I can't think of his last name, from Smashing Pumpkins, the guitarist of Smashing Pumpkins. Scotty from Skid Row. Orion Salazar from Third Eye Blind. Am I missing? And then Jack Hughes from Wang Chung, the singer of Wang Chung.
What a collective.
And we did a record. And it turned out really cool. It's kind of a throwback to, it's like 80s, 90s rock, but like the one we did with Jack Hughes called Phantom Moon, it really turned out. I really like it a lot. So I'll have to send you that so you can check it out, and both of you guys. That's the other project. But that was just a record. There's no touring plans or anything. Jeff Schroeder from Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Incredible. So you've been busy with projects then, and you also have the Allman Brother thing with Brett Lucas, and you and Brett play it together quite a bit still.
Yeah. Brett and I have been playing together since like 99. So, yeah. It's crazy when you say it out loud. Wow.
It's times is
Does Bettye
flying.
LaVette have a band out in New Jersey?
She does. Brett was with her forever. He just left her not too long ago, like 2 years.
I know her and Al Hill have been.
Al's back with her, yeah. She wanted me to come back, and man, I would have, but I think she wanted me to be the MD, and I am not a musical director. I'm a bass player. I know better. Just I'll play my parts.
I think Al was. Wasn't he?
Yeah, Al was, but she just wanted me to form a Detroit band and do it again, but I just couldn't. I couldn't. I didn't want it because I knew that touring is grueling. And they don't, like Sturgill cared about the families. He promised me I wouldn't miss my son's birthday. I got to go home for Halloween and take him trick-or-treating. Those things matter to me, and with Bettye, and it's nothing against her. She's got a career she's thinking about. That's number one. So I just didn't want to get into that space again where I'd be not seeing Jeffrey, my son, and my wife, for weeks and months. So I said no.
When did the Bettye LaVette thing start for you? How did you meet her and that whole thing go down?
That was Pat Prouty. You know Pat?
I
You know Pat? Yeah, Pat, great bass player. Pat was playing with her, I guess in the late 90s, mid to late 90s into the early 2000s. And they were doing some really cool shows. Like they were in my radar, and I would tell Pat, like, dude, you're so lucky. This is great, He played. They played at Morgan Freeman's bar in Mississippi, Ground Zero, and Morgan Freeman interviewed him. And they played Bonnaroo, and they were touring, and it was a big deal, And one day, Pat emailed me and said, "Look, I'm going to move on, and I've recommended you. I think you'd be a good fit, so you might be getting a phone call." And I did, and so it was another one of those things where it was recommendation, and there wasn't really an audition. I mean, there's always, you get the gig, you could get fired after one, so I guess it was mine to lose, but I didn't have to go in and play for her first or anything, it was just right into rehearsals. And I think the first thing we did, or the second thing, was the Conan O'Brien show. So it was,
Really? Was Brett already in the band at that
yeah,
point?
he was a couple of gigs ahead of me.
Okay.
I was still Pat, and they went to Japan. And then when they came back, it was me. And I think we did the Wolf Trap in Virginia, and then we did Conan O'Brien, which to me at that time, that was like 2007 or 8, was just wow.
Yeah.
Just wow.
That was the first probably huge project you'd been in.
That
at
was,
the,
it was a life changer, man. Yeah. It was great. And then we had 5 years of, she was tough at first. She's tough as nails, and
I read her book.
yeah, she is. Her and her manager, they didn't take any bullshit, man, and they would let us know. Boy, they would break our balls mercilessly.
What would be a thing that she'd be tough on?
Well, anything, like for me, because I'm a big guy, right? So, like, you learn the rules fast with her. Like, you can't say certain things. Like, if we were backstage and we were being fed a meal, and I said, "Wow, this is good," she'd be like, "You like every goddamn thing." She would just go off,
Oh.
So you just were quiet, until that's spoken to.
Okay.
But then as I got to know her, then it was great. Like, we all, she was still surly, but she loved us and we loved her, and the manager too. He was the tough, didn't like us because we were the new guys, Then it turns into the buddy movie, and then, and
Yeah.
it was great. Our last night together as a band, we were in Cape Verde in Africa, and we stayed up all night, with near the water. I was leaving because my son was going to be born, and we just drank cognac by the water and moved on, and it was wonderful,
Wow.
But it was also really, really grueling. And actually, the reason I left the band was because I was going to miss my son's first birthday. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I was like, this isn't...
Yeah.
I'll miss this one, but that's the only one I'm missing. So...
But that was 5, 6 years with her? 7 years?
5 years. Yeah. It was hard to leave, but I had to.
Yeah, well, your family is, I mean, if anybody's followed you individually, not just as a Detroit bass player or as a popular bass player, they see that you're very family oriented, you and your wife and your son. You guys, and I run into you and your wife at gigs too. I mean, at like Derek and Susan or something, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like you guys have always been a tight-knit unit. So it's cool that you've experienced the road, the studio, the time, the big bands, the small bands, the club bands, but you've kept the home life together.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've always loved my wife when, from the time we were together in 2003, before we were married. But anybody with kids, as you know, when you have a kid, wow, everything changes. Like you're told that, but until you experience the fear of loving something so much, you just like the helplessness and all the feelings. I was like, well, all right, I'm not going to be an absent father. I'm gonna have to be here. So
Yeah, it's a 24/7 gig.
yeah, especially boot camp, as I call it, when they're first born. My God. But yeah, and she, when Sturgill's thing happened, she rose to the occasion. She did anything she could to do to make it work for me. So,
Very cool.
yeah. So, I mean, if something were to come up like that again, it would have to be, she'd have to sign off on it, and it would have to be worth our while, And let's face it, I'm an old guy. There's a lot of young guys that will do that stuff for, half the money or whatever, or just, it's fine. It's how it goes. So, I got to do it. I'm happy with where I'm at now. I could be a little busier, but I guess we all say that, right?
Yeah. And that'll wrap up part 1 with Mr. Chuck Bartels here in the MMHP in the 989. We're so grateful for him to make the trek north to come visit us here at the Michigan Rock and Roll Hall of Fame studio and give us the rundown on his whole career and what he's planning to do and what he's doing. And in part 2, you get to hear more of where he's heading and what he's done. We are so thankful for this kind-hearted bassist to join us in the studio, and we hope you'll join us here in 2 weeks for part 2. And until then, keep on jamming the MMHP in the 989.
On behalf of our hosts, we would like to thank the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame, our guests, and especially our listeners. The MMHP is found on the 989 network, as well as all familiar podcast hubs. Up-to-the-minute information, as well as Dr. J and Sir Fred's Michigan Music Songs of the Week, can be found on the MMHP's Facebook page, /MMHP989. You can connect with Scott at scottbakermusic.com, Dr. J at michiganrockandrolllegends.com, Sir Fred at fredrife.com, and Mr. Mike on YouTube as MRBTEE1.
And on behalf of Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and myself, Scott Baker, we would like to thank Eddie Switek for being the